Brothers of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. I hope y'all are just having fantastic Ostara. Happy Ostara, everyone. And Equinox soon. Yeah. So, we're being broadcast live, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. Am I on? Yes, I am on. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I had pushed the buttons. Let's see. Button. Turn up my volume. Hey, maybe I can hear me now. So, being broadcast live on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and also in on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Hope you all are doing fantabulous. And no matter how you are hearing me, stop in and say hello in one of the chat rooms. Or you can send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com, and that's WILDEPAISLEY if you want to support the show, please do so. You can go to etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio. That's MTN for mountain. Or you can go to patreon.com/TheSpacesBetween. Or if you want to just support my radio habit, which, thank you, by the way, it's a cash tag is $TheSpacesBetween. Coffee. Yum. And the call line is open tonight, so if you want to give a holler, share your 3 cents, that kind of thing, by all means do so. That number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it's 44203-393-2871. And let's see, at the break time or when you get a minute, check out iLife.com. iLife is the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio. It's some good stuff. Check it out. And, all right, so, busy weekend in the pagan world. Ostara started, or depending on who you talk to, it started at sundown today and goes on through the sundown Saturday night. For others, it starts at midnight, goes midnight to midnight, and then tomorrow's the equinox, which is a fantastic day. To me, it means the days are getting longer, and eventually I'll have dirt that I can go play in and plant my garden. I bought a rototiller, so I don't have to rent one, which I'm very, very excited about. So, yes. Before we get into talking about Ostara more, Titan asked a question. Titan wants to know, what are my thoughts on precognitive dreams? Well, this is why we journal, Titan. That way, if you have a precognitive dream, you know you had one. And instead of trying to remember what you dreamed, you can go back and say, oh, hey, that's what it was. Gotcha. And so do I think they happen? Yes, I've had them. That's how I know that they happen. Do I always know that they're precognitive when I have them? Sometimes they have different elements to them or energy. I don't know how, I'm not describing it correctly. The effects are different. I dream in color and I dream really detailed, and it's often very bizarre, and some of them are quite intense. But the precog dreams are not always intense. Sometimes they're just little snippets in black and white rather than in full living color. So it varies. But for me, a lot of the precog dreams that I have show themselves later feeling like deja vu. Part of the reason why we talk about deja vu in the second half. And it's because I don't always remember everything, but when I have one of those moments, it's like, bam, I am in the right place at the right time. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be. It's a marker for me instead of a precog type thing. That's just for me personally. And the precog dreams are quite interesting. Absolutely. And also precog dreams can be very, very frustrating because you'll be dreaming something and it's like, wow, what can I do to fix this so this bad thing doesn't happen? Sometimes there's not a bloody thing you can do, which is really frustrating because you know that if person A would do option 3 instead of option 1 or 2, they'd have better results. Kind of like buying the lottery ticket or not buying the lottery ticket. Just as a, really big comparison. But, yeah, it's complicated. So we'll talk about it after the top of the hour, after the singing bowl, because I'm going to talk about deja vu then, and I think precog dreams are tied in with deja vu. If that helps or hinders or confuses you, I don't know. So we'll talk about it in a bit. First off, we're going to talk about Ostara, because Ostara is kind of a big thing. It's a celebration of spring. And it's it's a big deal. Celebration of spring, because by golly, it needs to be a celebration. In the southern hemisphere, it's not Ostara, it's the opposite of Ostara. And that's why so many of the holidays that we celebrate here in the U.S., we think, oh, this is what everybody's celebrating. But no, especially when it comes to a lot of the pagan holidays, they're tied to the growing seasons and the events that are happening in the location where you're at. And so Ostara being the rebirth and the growth of spring and such, and things coming, flowers starting, baby critters happening, that kind of thing. In the southern hemisphere, is the exact opposite. So, yeah, you got to pay attention to all that. So, for those of you in the southern hemisphere, sorry, but I'm going to talk about Ostara for now. We'll see what happens if I have enough time later to cover y'all too. Yeah, we'll see. So, Ostara, a couple of different interesting mythos or mythologies associated, and they are actually really interesting. And as far as the history goes, there's a couple different schools of thought. Some people think that Ostara started off as a German or Germanic Titan, AD. And others say that she's more Celtic, so depending, again, upon your tradition and what you believe. For many, Ostara is considered Eoster, or Eostre, but that may have been just the Germanic version. Anyways, he called her Ostara, and they're not sure if originally she really was a goddess or just someone that Jacob Grimm designated as like the spring goddess, because there's really not a lot of information before him. There's a English churchman by the name of Bede, or Bede, is Bede, and this is from Folklore Life. Anyway, so in the process, Beatty wrote the stories, and then Jacob Grimm was doing some research because Jacob Grimm liked to write stories anyways. And she talked about it more. He called Eoster Ostara, just to try to put the words together better. And I don't know, some places Eoster just means east, so. And maybe she turns a bird into a hare or a rabbit, so I do have that little tail, and we're going to talk about that too. Variations there. Where'd I go? Lost my spot. Anyway, in about 1874, Adolf Holtzmann wrote another book called Deutsche Mythologie, which German myths. Just German myths. And Eoster means Easter hare, and so that's where the Easter bunny comes from for Easter. There are pagan origins for Easter, which for those of us here on the Space Between, we're not very surprised by that because we know this already. So ever since 1874, there's been variations and interpretations for Ostara and trying to Christianize Ostara a bit more. Let's see. I had a really good write-up here from Goddess and the Green Man. So... Ostara is generally celebrated at the equinox, which is on the 19th. 20th is tomorrow. And as the days are getting warmer and the sun is shining stronger and the energy is growing, that's when we celebrate, hey, the daylight is defeating the darkness, if you will. We're moving on to that time of the year. And with April, that's generally when we celebrate Easter, but that's based upon the moon phases, honestly, is when Easter happens. But with Ostara, it happens around, it's equinox. So it's a time to celebrate fertility, renewal, rebirth. I know that here locally, the trees are starting to bud just a little bit for the leaves. My rhododendrons, for instance, are starting to bud more. And it's good. Anyway, so estrogen is also named for Ostara, or Eoster, because Ostara, Ostara is a very feminine energy, so estrogen is named after Ostara because of, it's very feminine and very important for women's fertility. Supposedly, the goddess Ostara has the shoulders and head of a hare, but the rest of her is human. So there's one of those crossbreeds, if you will. So in Celtic tradition, the hare is sacred to the goddess and is the totem animal of the lunar goddesses such as Hecate, Freya, and Hulda. The hare is the symbol for the moon. The goddess most closely associated with the hare is Eoster or Ostara. And the Christian Easter is determined by the phase of the moon. The nocturnal hare, so closely associated with the moon, which dies every morning and is resurrected every evening, also represents the rebirth of nature in spring. Both the moon and the hare were believed to die daily in order to be reborn. Thus, the hare is the symbol of immortality. It's also a major symbol for fertility and abundance, as the hare can conceive again while already pregnant. This is why when someone says they breed like rabbits, they're not joking. There's not even a rinse and repeat. It's just pregnant all the time. Over centuries, the symbol of the hare at Ostara has become the Easter bunny who brings eggs to children on Easter morning. The Christian deity, day of rebirth and resurrection. Hare hunting was taboo because the date of Easter is determined by the moon together with the Hare's strong lunar association, so hare hunting was a common Easter activity in England, and again also at Beltane. Hey, Marie. Let's see. So, like here, or have you guys ever heard the phrase "crazier than a March hare"? Same kind of thing. With the hare being a big deal. When this time of year happens, the hormones are overwhelming the poor little hare. And they will run across the road, and they'll stop and they'll stare at you. They'll jump about 3 feet in the air, make a weird squealy noise, and they'll run back across the road in front of you. And they'll do that a couple times. So in places where there's a lot of hares or rabbits, it's very, very active. They're very active creatures. We have snowshoe hares right now in the Pacific Northwest, and they're generally white during the winter and brown during the summer. This year, if they weren't a little bit mottled, they may have been preyed upon. So we're probably going to have lower rabbit and hare populations this year, just because there have been so little snow storms, period. A little worried about the fires because it's just hasn't rained or snowed enough. So, let's see. The next symbol for Ostara, or associated with Ostara, of course, is the egg. So the egg, and also all seeds, so not just the egg, contain all of the potential or the full of promise and new life. So, for instance, the fertilized egg, not just an egg, because yes, it's fertilized and ready to be born, so rebirth. So the cosmic egg contains a balance of male and female, light and dark, the egg yolk and the egg white. The golden orb of the yolk represents the sun god, enfolded by the white goddess. Perfect balance, so it's particularly appropriate to Ostara and the spring equinox, when all is in balance for just a moment, although the underlying energy is one of growth and expansion. So, let's see. Supposedly, once upon a time, it's a fairy tale. Excuse me. The animal kingdom gathered together for a meeting in a flurry of great excitement. A very special party was going to happen with a very special guest. And the very special guest was the goddess herself, and she wanted to give, every creature wanted her to give a very special gift. Now, some animals some animals are rich and some are poor, but they often, they prepare their gifts to give to the goddess. And Hare was really, really excited because he loved the goddess, and although he was very poor, he had a generous heart, so he was going to give her the very finest gift he could find. So he rushed home to look to see what he could find. Well, in the cupboards, under the bed, he looked everywhere, couldn't find anything. Even his cupboards were empty. So he had nothing to give to the goddess except for one thing. On the shelf in his larder was a single egg, and that was it. And it was the only thing that he had left. So he gently took the egg out of the larder and decorated it and took it to the party. Hare was really worried because other animals gave gifts of gold and silver and precious jewels. And all the hare had was the egg. Eventually all the gifts had been given, and Hare was the very last. Hare very shyly presented the goddess with the egg, and she took it and looked at him and saw the true spirit of the hare. And then and there the goddess appointed the hare as her very special animal because the hare had given away everything that he had. So you stop and think about that. There's another deity that talks about giving away everything that you have and sacrificing everything. Wonder where that came from. Let's see. So yeah, it's an interesting little story, and that's supposedly, or in theory, why we decorate Easter eggs or Ostara eggs, is because we're trying to decorate them just like Hare did to make them pretty as a gift for the goddess. So if you're going to decorate your eggs for Ostara, that's a great, a fun thing to do. They don't have to be fancy, just do the best you can, whether you draw on them or paint on them or just dip them in some food coloring. Whatever it is, it's just representative of what you have. And there's nothing wrong with a gift that isn't as good as everybody else's or doesn't look like everybody else's, because it's not, that label, oh, it's not as good as. Often, and I say for me personally anyways, often it's the thought behind it, the feeling and the emotion and the care that went behind the purchase or the creation of the gift. That to me has as much, if not more, energy to it than the gift itself. Now there are some things that I keep as little gifts, like Mini-Me likes to give me the occasional rock. Some of them are like, she gave me a rock from the driveway. But you know what? I tell her thank you and I give her hugs because, hey, she gave me something. But I still have the very first rock that she gave me. It was one with mica flecks in it. So it looks like a combination of sandstone and mica. So yeah, I keep it. And it's just, I don't know, they're awesome. And I'm glad to encourage her rock habit, because if I do that, then hopefully she won't have money to spend on other things that'll drive me nuts. I'd rather have rocks and crystals and stuff all over her room. Yeah. So, Lucky says that she has a local farmer that has emus, and the eggs are huge. Yes, they are, and a dark turquoise color. Now, that's something else. Many eggs are colored in different colors naturally. You don't have to color them with food coloring. You can dye them other ways, but some of them are born that way. There's a whole group of chickens called Easter eggers, and the eggs they lay could be anywhere from white to blue. There's one variety that lays purple eggs, but they have green eggs and pink eggs, and then brown eggs, and then there's the chocolate eggs that look like they're like a dark cherry or dark chocolate kind of looking color. So yeah, you don't have to have the fancy smancy eggs. Just if you have kitchen eggs, just give one a quick boil and draw on it with a crayon, and Bob's your uncle, you have a colored egg. So yeah, just decorate things. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. It's from the heart. Coming from the heart is much more important than and the intention behind it than what it looks like. Because if your intention is not good as you're decorating the egg, it doesn't really matter what you put on it. Just like if you give someone just something to try to control them, it's not a good intention. It's just you're giving them something that's just just not good. The energy's not good. So other things that have come across as a popular thing around Easter is hot cross buns. So hot cross buns are a traditional equinox or Ostara thing from more of a British thing, I think, because it's kind of a Celtic cross. So basically, when you're making the buns and you put it in the pan, you cut a line vertically and horizontally to make a cross. So all four are the four equal armed cross balance within the circle of the bun itself. So you have the two equinoxes crossed by the two solstices, with the four seasons and the four sacred directions of north, east, south, and west, and the five elements of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit at the center. The circumference represents the cycle of the year, the circle of life, and the still point of balance at its center. So That information is from Glennie Kindred's book of Sacred Celebrations. It was kind of interesting. Let's see. In some mythologies, the goddess Eostre or Ostara is associated with serpent or dragon energy. And the energy is the Kundalini energy is more around the sacrum and is just very, very explosive right now. Basically, that drive to procreate tends to be increased this time of year. Associated flowers would be daffodils, primroses, violets, crocuses, celandine, catkins, pussy willow, etc. Things that are bright green, yellow, or purple in color. And it's more as a way to celebrate. And I guess we're off to break. So we're going to go to break and we'll be right back. lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And tonight we're talking about Ostara, because, hey, it's that time of the year. Yes, it is. And, I gotta tell you, on the one hand, this year has been dragging horribly, 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 horribly. And in other ways, this year is screaming by. Can you believe that? I cannot believe how fast it's just floating on. Really, truly can't. Yeah, it's been nuts. I don't know, the last year in general has been kind of crazy, I gotta tell you. Well, with the COVIDs and lockdowns and everything. Oof. Oofta. It is pretty messy and yucky. So, I do want to apologize for missing out on the show last Saturday. I get the occasional migraine, and I had dosed myself in hopes that I'd be able to get on the air, and apparently my head had some other opinions on what I needed to do. And, no. You guys, apparently I wasn't speaking coherently. It is so bad. So, I get them periodically, about once a month, sometimes 2 or 3 times. Depends on how much dust is in the air, honestly. And there's a lot of dust and dirt last weekend. So yeah, it was crazy. So I just kind of slept through the show. Sorry, guys. And that was all I could do to get up the next day even. I was just wiped out. There's nothing quite like a migraine hangover. Oy. So, yes. It's just, yeah. It was just a mess. Blah. It's funny, though. Minnie likes to take care of me when she thinks I'm not doing well. And so she made me coffee. Oh, there's nothing sweeter than a 6-year-old trying to make coffee in the coffee pot and almost breaking it. She didn't break the carafe. She just flooded it with coffee grounds, and so I had sweetened milk with floating coffee grounds. It was fantastic. So Aaron, real quick, says that he was on the phone for technical help. And he was talking to a lady from India, and she said the name of a goddess that she visits, Vishnu, or Vishnu. I think it's Vishnu. Yes, Vishnu is Vishnu. And Vishnu is the second god in the Hindu triumvirate. And so the triumvirate consists of the 3 gods who are responsible for the creation, upkeep, and destruction of the world. The other 2 are Brahma and Shiva. So Brahma is the creator of the universe, and Shiva is the destroyer. And Vishnu is the one kind of keeping everything going. And if you ever look at a statue of Vishnu, Vishnu has 4 arms. If you're going to tidy up and keep things running, you need as many hands on deck as you possibly can. And if you ever have a chance to look into the Indian deities, the Indian religion, yeah, it is fascinating. And you'll really see a lot of the similarities between the deities that they follow and the ones in other pantheons, because yeah, there's some crossover and there's some similarities, in part I think because people all over the world have a lot of the same thought processes, and so there's a lot of similar characteristics when it comes to the different deities. So Aaron's like, so why would she talk to me about Vishnu? Well, kind of. It's interesting that she said that she visits. So does Vishnu visit her, Aaron, or does she visit Aaron? And yeah, there are a lot of Indian deities. Lots. So I'm watching the chat room. Let's see. So, Vishnu is generally the protector and guardian of men. Let's see. Brahma, being a deity, is why they revere cows, Brahma cows. A little bit about Vishnu here. So I suggest you do some research, because there's some interesting mythology around Vishnu. Really, there is. Here is. Oh, she said she visits. Very cool. So Vishnu has apparently visited Aaron. Okay. So Vishnu often appears as a man lion, so a man with a lion's head. And so often very, very ferocious looking. And let's see. Trying to look. Bring it up. Yeah. There is trying to read and think at the same time. Now it's even weirder. You're funny. So yeah, it is a little weird for someone to say something like that out of the blue. But yeah, Dee is right. She says kind of like God be with you. But it may be something you dreamed, Aaron, without knowing that you dreamed it. But yeah, I would do some work and research and learn some more about Vishnu, because Vishnu is a very strong deity, and if you are working with or being called to work with, or at least acknowledge Vishnu, that's a good thing. And Vishnu being a caretaker of all things, and if she's there helping you with your technical problem, you may need a little bit of Vishnu to get your technical problem resolved. So basically, yeah, she's giving you a blessing. She's good about it. So I don't think it was a bad thing. I think it was more like, oh, hey, here's an extra dosing of helping, and I hope everything's okay. So that's a good thing. It wasn't meant to be a scary thing. No, she was telling you that Kali is after you. That's an entirely different story, because Kali could be quite scarier, being known as the Destroyer. Yeah. But, being don't get too wrapped up in Kali being the Destroyer, because if you stop and think about it, organic matter has to be destroyed as it's broken down into its basic elements to be created back into dirt, so that new plant life grows, which will feed animals and insects, which will feed other animals and insects, and until they all, that whole cycle completes and comes back around, and everything has to break down and become organic again and turn into dirt. So, yeah. If that made sense, I'm glad. Blah. La la la. So, when you're trying to get your altar dressed up for Ostara, which is something you could be doing, so first off, clean everything. Because it's a really good time to do your spring cleaning, and kind of where it originated is you're cleaning out the old dirt, the old air, the old stuff, whatever it is, you're getting rid of it. So if you're getting ready to put together a new altar, now's a good time, because you're getting rid of all that stuff. And then so as you're getting everything cleaned up, make sure you take the dirt and get rid of it. Now's a good time for downsizing, or Getting rid of the things that you just don't use. It's one of those things, if you keep something in your closet and you haven't really used it in the last year, okay, understanding that this last year really was kind of weird. Do you really need it, or is it something you can rehome? With your pots and pans, books you may or may not read. I say that in a very quiet voice because I love books and I don't let go of any of them once I own them. I'm a little possessive, and I will admit it. But yeah, freshen things up, clean. And as you're cleaning, your spring cleaning, yes, you're getting ready for your new altars and everything. So, with that said, for your altar, you can put colored eggs on there, feathers, seeds, pretty much any spring flower, especially the green, yellow, purple colors. Any foliage that's sprouting into a leaf form. Here, we don't have that quite yet. We're working on it. But we're working on it. And so with the eggs, if you wanted to do like an egg offering, you absolutely could. Get some chocolate eggs from the store. They're everywhere right now. Easter egg hunts are good. If you can write wishes in like a white crayon on the eggs, and then dip them in the colors so they will not, like if you're dyeing the eggs, the ink or the coloring won't stick to the crayon marking. So yeah, that's pretty kind of cool. So they're right in the wishes. If you have eggs that you're like making something, try not to break the shells. You can use the shells as starter pots for seeds. So, let your kiddos start something. Sunflowers are good, just something fun. If you bury a raw egg near the entrance of your home, it's good to ensure abundance for the coming year and fertility in your garden. That one I think I can do without a problem, because yes, I want my garden to get big and happy. Drop eggs for Easter egg hunts. I'm not quite sure what Lucky's talking about. Let's see. There are quite a different things you can do to celebrate Ostara, as far as recipes or things to do. Like cakes, or you could do breads, or you can hand blow eggs. If you've never done that, it's kind of fun. Maybe I'll do that with Mini-Me. That'd be fun. Basically, you poke 2 holes into each end of the egg, 1 hole in each end of the egg, and if you blow through it, you blow the egg out, and you can do things with the egg, but it leaves you with a hollow egg, and if you let it dry, which is fine, then you can paint on it, and it's kind of fun. So Lucky says helicopters are dropping eggs for church Easter egg hunts. That's quite bizarre, because let's talk about the ultimate egg drop. I hope they've packaged them right. So, trees that are associated with Ostara are the birch, because the birch is one of the first trees to go leaf out in the spring. So it's a very, very obvious choice, if you will, for representing the emergence of spring. Deities often associated with birch are love and fertility goddesses. Excuse me. Let's see. The Celtic goddess of spring, or Eoster, Was celebrated in festivities and dancing around and through the birch tree between the spring equinox and Beltane. In the Ogham alphabet, birch is from December 24th until January 20th. Birch twigs were traditionally used to make new brooms or besoms, and it signifies a new start, beginnings, and birth. Ash, so in the Ogham alphabet, Ash rules from February 18 to March 17. And in Norse mythology, the Yggdrasil, or the world tree, is an ash tree also. And Odin hung from the ash tree to obtain enlightenment and the secret of the runes. The spear of Odin was made from a branch of the ash tree. As one of the 3 trees sacred to the Druids, which are ash, oak, and thorn. The cosmic tree, Yggdrasil, was the ash which links the world of men to the realms of spirit and myth and imparted understanding of the interconnection of all things. 2 springs flow from its roots, which are the sources of wisdom and fate. Ash teaches that all life is interconnected on all levels of existence, past, present, and future, spiritual, mental, and physical. Whatever happens on one level happens on all levels. So your thoughts and actions and whatever you do in the physical world will affect all levels of your being. D about birch beer. You'll have to tell me what you think of it. I tried to make it last year. Fail. Absolute fail. Yeah. Very, very much a fail. Let's see. Alder is the last tree on the list here in the Ogham alphabet. Alder rules from March 18 to April 14. During this time of the spring equinox, the alder is flourishing on riverbanks. Its roots are in the water, bringing and holding the magical space between both heaven and earth, holding the space between worlds. It is sacred to Bran, who laid himself down for his men to use as a bridge to cross the sea. So, I'll have a link to this particular page in the show notes, of course. The Goddess and the Green Man, it's a website from the UK. Some really, really good information in there. And it's one of my favorite websites, I have to tell you. It seems like as I go through this and I learn more about paganism and such and witchcraft and which websites have reputable information and which ones really, really don't, because some don't. And this is one of them that does. And yeah, I really, really like it. So if you have a chance to check it out, you should. Boop. Lots of noise. Sorry, guys. Let's see. So, there, a mythology thing. In Michigan Crawford's Avalanche, which is a magazine, April 12, 1900. So it's a story that says it's one of the oldest in mythology, despite the fact it was less than 20 years old. So again, this is an older story. It happened in the 1800s. Nightshade mentions that hawthorn can be kind of prickly, literally, figuratively, emotionally. Yes, all the yes. Willful. It's a very willful tree. Oof. So, the origin of the Easter rabbit, supposedly. According to Teutonic tradition, the rabbit, or bunny, was once a bird. So, one of the quaint and interesting features of our modern Easter carnival is the appearance in shop windows side by side with the emblematic colored egg of a pert, tall-eared rabbit, and those who cannot understand why bunnies should have a place in our Easter decorations shrug their shoulders and think it a trick to please the children. But the legend of the Easter rabbit is one of the oldest in mythology, is mentioned in the early folklore of South Germany. Originally, it appears the rabbit was a bird, which the ancient Teutonic goddess Ostara, who is the goddess of the East or of spring, transformed into a quadruped. For this reason, the rabbit or hare is grateful, and in remembrance of its former condition as a bird, and as a swift messenger of spring and of the goddess of whom it served, is able to lay colored Easter eggs on her festival in the springtime. The colors illustrated the theory that when it was a bird, the rabbit laid colored eggs, and an egg has always been the symbol of resurrection and therefore used as an illustration of Easter. All right. Interesting. Yeah, this is an interesting page. And a lot of these tales are written down to try to remember the verbal tales that were original. Because a lot of things, like with the Druids specifically, they passed down to their mythology and their legends and their tales and everything via word of mouth. They weren't actually, writing things down, because they felt that if it was truly important, you would commit it to memory and you wouldn't have to write it down. Unfortunately, that's why there's so little information out there about a lot of those Druidic ceremonies and such. From ancient times, because they didn't write anything down, and they didn't leave a lot of notes for us to try to figure things out. Sad. But there's an interesting to try to recreate some of that, and so this way, when it comes to Druidism, there's the recreationists, and then there's the new Druids, or Novo Druids. I don't know, it's complicated. D says, I think a lot will surface. So yeah, that's one thing. I've mentioned this before, but the age is changing, and I truly think the deities are walking the earth again. And I think right now they're just kind of feeling things out and trying to see what's out there and how we are interacting with life and such, and people and humanity, because humanity is a bit complicated, shall we say, and so the deities are probably one. Modern technology has changed everything, and it's just. Yeah, it's interesting. So, as the age changes and we transition into the new age more effectively and completely, I think a lot of the deities are going to poke at the everyday people a little bit more and try to wake them up. Because, yes, they are waking up. I work in a crystal shop, guys. We keep saying, when it slows down, we're going to do this. Or when it's going to slow down, we're going to do that. In reality, it hasn't slowed down. I'm not sure when we're going to get all these things done. It'll be interesting. Very, very interesting. So yeah, as people wake up and become more aware, they need to learn more. They need to be not just aware of what's going on, but also aware of the past. And so I think there's going to be stuff coming out, at least archaeologically, that will show up and explain some things. So Druidry Nightshade says Druidry turned out being an oral practice, though there is the alphabet for scribing. Yeah, it was, the OM alphabet is a little more complicated than, say, some of them. But, just like any other language, once you learn it, you got it. So Miriam notes that some people are resistant to the waking up. Yes, they are. And I think those are the ones that are going to find themselves sick. Just like if you miss the call of your bladder to send you to the bathroom, you're going to notice eventually that you need to wake up and go take care of business or else, basically. So I do believe we're off to the top of the hour break here shortly. And when we come back, we'll do the singing bowl, and we're going to get into a bit more about Deja Vu. And if you do have any other questions about Ostara, let me know. But yeah, it's a celebration of spring and the equinox. And we'll talk a little bit about equinox tomorrow, too. So, yeah. I think it's break time. So we will be right back. lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are adventuring into the spaces between. And now, it's singing bowl time. I hope everybody that might be asleep has their earplugs in. love my bowl. I think I say that every time. But yeah, one of my favoriteest things. I like my bowl. It's funny. I work with a gal. Anytime she gets stressed out at work, she has to go use the singing bowls, and I have no problems with this. To me, it makes total sense. Stressed out, use the singing bowl. Excited, use the singing bowl. Don't feel good, use the singing bowl. It kind of fits everywhere. When in doubt, use the singing bowl. I mean, why not? Oh, let's see. So, yeah. So I'm not going to go into the whole vaccines and everything because I'm not going to poke that bear. It's just not necessary. There's other shows for that. But, yeah. I have noticed that the news that I do watch occasionally hasn't really changed in the last couple months. It's just like, even in the last year, a lot of the headlines, I should say, not necessarily the news, but the headline news hasn't really changed. It's like, well, let's take that story down and mix up the words and freshen it up and repost it with a different spin. And so, yeah, again, why I don't watch the news, because it's not news, it's opinions. And if I want the news, I'll go find it online or somewhere else where I can trust the sources. Anyways, so, but Deja Vu. It's like, haven't I heard this story before? Anyways, so Deja Vu is French for already seen. And for many of us, we've experienced the deja vu, and it's effects, and we wonder, like, oh my goodness, that's so weird. I know I've done this before, or oh, that's so weird. I'm pretty sure that this haven't I already been here? Didn't I already do this? Weren't you already here today? You know, that slightly confused. You know, what's going on? So my personal feeling when it comes to deja vu is it's just a marker telling me that I am on the right path and I am doing the right thing and I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I need to do. Now, sometimes I encounter that more often, and other times I don't. It kind of ebbs and flows, it kind of comes and goes. And when I have one of those moments, especially if I'm at home and near any of my journals where I can kind of flip through things, I'll go back to my journals and see if that was something I dreamed before. And because sometimes I do, enough that I remember the dream. Now, there are times when I don't remember the dream. It just gets stuck in my subconscious, like, oh, hey, don't forget this. You're going to remember it at a strange time that is not convenient for anyone, because that just seems to be the way it is. So when it comes to deja vu, I've already dreamed it in some way, shape, or form. And so I'm not experiencing something a second time because it's my second time for being in it. It's my second time to see it or realize that I'm there. First time was in the dream world, second time in the physical world. And yeah, it's my marker saying, hey, you're doing the right thing. Often the people in question that show up in the real world during the deja vu moment are like, they're even more 3D than they are in real life, if that makes any sense. It's like they pop out just a bit more. And yeah, it's just like they're larger than life, or there's, if you've ever played a video game and there's a thing that if you look at it with your like an RPG type game, and you're looking at a thing with your character, and it glows a little bit, like, oh, hey, that might be a secret something that I need to check out. That's kind of what the people look like or the primary things that happened in my dream look like in real life when I have the deja vu. So for me, those prophetic dreams are those that are not quite as on the surface, because they're a little bit more subconscious than they are conscious. And so that's, for me, that's what deja vu is. Is that the way it is for everyone? No, absolutely not. Everybody's a little bit different. So, again, I'll have show notes and giving you links for any of the articles I'm using now. So, deja vu explained. Well, according to, let's see, what is, there we go. The Conversation US. So this is more of a scientific thing than a pagan or witchcraft thing. Because so they say, I'm going to read the first couple of paragraphs because, hey, we want to just get into it. So it says, have you ever experienced a sudden feeling of familiarity while in a completely new place, or the feeling that you've had exact same conversation with someone before? So this feeling of familiarity is known as deja vu, or a French term meaning already seen, and is reported to occur on an occasional basis in 60 to 80% of people. Isn't that crazy? 60 to 80% of the people in the world experience deja vu. And it's a random experience. It's generally pretty doggone fleeting, but still, 60 to 80% of the people out in the world experience deja vu. It could just be the collective unconscious saying, hey, wake up. Wake up, you need to pay attention. It's time to wake up. Is anybody home? And, it's frustrating because I think maybe that 60 to 80% is more willing to wake up or be awake. And everybody else is kind of sleeping still. So, why does it feel so familiar? So, according to science, deja vu is poorly understood in science, which isn't shocking because it's more of a magic thing than a science thing. Deja vu occurs briefly without warning and has no physical manifestations other than the announcement, I just had deja vu. So it's a memory-based experience. And so many researchers propose the phenomena as a memory-based experience and assume the memory centers of the brain are responsible for it. So, now to be boring science people for a moment, the medial temporal lobes are vital for the retention of long-term memories of events and facts. Certain regions of the medial temporal lobes are important in the detection of familiarity or recognition as opposed to the detailed recollection of specific events. So it has been proposed that familiarity detection depends upon renal cortex function, whereas detailed recollection is linked to the hippocampus. So the randomness of deja vu experiences in healthy individuals makes it difficult to study in an empirical manner. So any such research is reliant on self-reporting from the people involved. So, of course, there's a group of people that say deja vu is nothing more than a glitch in the matrix, period. And, it could be. It could just be a glitch in the matrix. Sure. Yeah, it would make sense for it to be a glitch in the matrix. I'm just trying to think of some other way to put it. No, it would make total sense that if we are just giant batteries in the world, kind of floating along based upon somebody else's program or computer program, which maybe we are, it'd be a glitch in the matrix. Basically, it's a thing that they reset the system, they cut the hard line, whatever you want to call it. It's just a thing. It could be. Oh, that's really interesting. So there's a subset of epilepsy patients that consistently experience deja vu at the onset of a seizure. So in other words, when seizures begin in the medial temporal lobe. So it's given researchers a more experimentally controlled way of studying deja vu. And so if someone's having an epileptic seizure, the seizures themselves are being evoked by alterations in electrical activity in neurons within focal regions of the brain. So the dysfunctional neuronal activity can spread across the whole brain like shock waves generated from an earthquake. The brain regions in which this electrical activation can occur include the medial temporal lobe. So basically, the brain's being short-circuited, which we kind of know about that. But you're getting the other parts of your brain are being shocked also. And that electrical disturbance generates an aura or a warning of sorts that people identify as deja vu. Do I think 60 to 80% of the people in the world have some form of epilepsy and that's why they're having these? No. That no and no and no. It's not a causality or a linked thing. It's an also known as or an associated thing. And so it happens to people without epilepsy all the time. And so there are things. So there's supposedly a couple different types of a deja vu. There's one that's the temporal lobe. Yep. And then there's another one. Let's see. The typical deja vu is more a neurological discharge of some sort. And it's just a memory error in your brain is resetting. And that is why you have deja vu. And your brain's not really understanding the information that it's taking in. It has a hiccup, and that's why it feels like deja vu. Well, I think deja vu itself, again, for me, is a marker I'm on the right track. Some see it as a precognitive thing. You have done the things that you need to do, and you're seeing and experiencing something that'll happen in the future, and that's why you have the precog, is because you're actually doing the thing that you saw. Maybe. I don't know. That part is still kind of up in the air and hasn't completely settled in so people understand what's going on. Let's see. There's another article here that talks about a person who has sessions where they're like 5 to 30 seconds, and it's a recollection of a memory of some sort, and often the deja vu really truly is linked to the dreaming. Hold on. There we go. So, according to Sleep Sherpa, which I think is more of a thing for sleeping, it's a mattress thing of some sort. It talks about how if you're not sleeping well or your dreams are not, they don't make sense, they don't connect to you in the day-to-day life, and it's only your crazy subconsciousness that it connects with. So some of those hidden things pop up only in your dreams, and then they only pop up in deja vu. So when it lands, you're like, oh, that's what that is. And you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. So it's just frustrating. Let's see. What is this? I didn't have my links open. Sorry, guys. That's not it. That's not it. Here I go. Talk. Um, Justin, I gotta. Okay, just some. Justin lives in Oregon, and they recently legalized or decriminalized a lot of chemical life altering substances, that kind of thing. And so basically, it doesn't matter if it's pot or coke. It's available, it's supposedly without criminal charges in Oregon. However, if you collect rainwater in Oregon, you'll get a fine and a ticket, and you keep doing it, they'll put you in jail for that, which makes no sense to me at all. So, yeah. I had to bring it up just because I see Justin in the chat room. Yeah. It's a weird thing. It makes no sense to me. So Justin says that he has very foreign dreams that don't seem to make sense, but then they loop back into themselves frequently. Any idea what that's about? So, okay, if in the past I've talked about a recurring dream that I've had, and it started off, I was just running from something, and I found a place to hide in the house, and I recognized the house, the smells, the textures, and all that from, it was a house that a family member owned. And the place to hide was stepping through a picture that was hanging on the wall. So oddly enough, the picture itself was a 3D picture that was hanging in the family room. And so you climb through the picture and you get on the other side and there's a place to hide. And every time I dreamed the dream, it'd become more and more detailed and there'd be more and more things. And always there's someone chasing me because why not? And there's hidden passages and connections and hallways and all sorts of things. And like I said, I haven't had one in a while. But for me, Justin, it's helping my subconscious figure out the connection from one thing to the next and how I'm working out my path. Because sometimes the path is convoluted and makes no sense in your logical mind. But your subconscious is like, oh, A leads to C, leads to 3, and blue. And it makes total sense. I got it. But then your logic kicks in. You're like, no, it doesn't. That makes no sense. Blue? What? Where? Anyways, your brain shuts down. And it just says, no, that doesn't make sense. And I'm not going to think about it anymore. So for me, when that dream is looping back in, it's telling me that I am learning a lesson or in the middle of learning a lesson about myself, or I'm about to. In the dream itself, if I move forward to the next hurdle, whatever that is, it means that I've accomplished whatever I needed to do in real life, and I can move on to the next thing. If I end up hiding and wake up because I've been hiding for so long, then I'm not ready to make that step, make that change or transition. So it's just one of those things. Yeah, for me, Justin, it's an indicator of self work, or self work, self study, self healing, that sort of thing. And it's important. You should be doing that anyways. But it's just your dream is popping up, and maybe there's some sort of element within the dream itself that you need to pay attention to, that you need for the next step of healing or growing. So, yeah. I hope that helped. I'm smiling. Marie says that she can go to the past to make changes so the present is not affected for the future. Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. There's some things I would love to change in the past. Mostly because, I occasionally would like to change things. But at the same time, if I change things, I've taken away the way for things to happen naturally. I guess I'm not a meddler as much as I thought I was. That's interesting. So So there was a study done. Let's see, where was the study done? It shows up in PsychNet, which is APA. So basically, this is a website people can go to get articles for school projects and stuff. And so there's a sleep study done by Kazuhiko Fukuda, and it's titled Sleep and Hypnosis, and it was done back in 2002, and it's most experiences of precog dream could be regarded as a subtype of deja vu. So they sent out a questionnaire concerning dreams and deja vu experiences to 122 university students. Of all of the respondents, which of course 122 don't actually respond because, yeah, they don't. So 24 were not sure if they'd had any of those experiences. Okay. Out of the remaining 98 students, so 41.8%, supported at least one experience of precog dream, although 20% of the respondents claimed that the experiences were true precog dreams. A major portion, which is about 80% of the respondents, regarded their experiences as pseudo-precog dreams. So they called the dreams when they had predicted events. The onset age of the precog dreams is concentrated between the ages of 6 and 10 years old, and deja vu experiences showed very similar patterns of age distribution. The respondents who had no precog dreams experienced deja vu significantly less frequently than the ones who had pseudo-precog dreams. The research showed that many people use the word precog dream in a wrong sense compared with a standard definition that those precog dreams could be considered just a subtype of deja vu experiences. So basically, quite a few people experience precog dreams, and some feel that the dreams they're getting that are precog are just BS, which maybe. And then, so just reading Justin's response to the collecting rainwater. Yeah. In Oregon, you can't collect rainwater. But at the same time, there are places in California and Oregon that they tell you to collect rainwater because they're worried about droughts. That makes no sense at all. Period. So anyways, the precog dreams supposedly started between ages of 6 to 10. And from there, they either grew and developed if they were encouraged, or if you try to not participate in the precog dreams, you can actually self-limit the activity, and then it kind of atrophies, like if you don't use your arm or your leg for very long, like when you break it and it's in a cast and you can't use it, the muscles kind of atrophy a bit, and so you lose some muscle mass, and since you've lost the muscle mass, you have to rebuild that muscle. That's what physical therapy is for. Hate physical therapy. With all my heart. No, I love it. It's pretty fun. I learn things about myself when I do physical therapy. And mostly it's how much I can swear to myself. So anyways, out of the study, there's a fair number that actually had the precog dreams or had the deja vu, and they felt it was real. And for me, it's even more interesting because there's so many people out there that say that they don't agree with paganism or witchcraft, and then at the same time they're like, oh, but hey, I had this dream and it came true. How weird is that? It's like, dude, you've totally missed the point. You just missed the point, man. And it's kind of frustrating because people get all upset about these dreams. Like, so what? But at the same time, it's, prophetic dreams are kind of a big deal. So I hope you're journaling them if you have them. And guess what? It is break time already. Wow, tonight is screaming by. So we're going to talk a bit more about deja vu and precog dreams when we come back. And hit the button.
I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. The songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And yes, it is an adventure every doggone day. And for those of you who listen to me often, you know that my personal philosophy is that life is an adventure, ups and downs, twists and turns, beautiful mountain vistas, and swampy valleys. I mean, it's all there. And perhaps because of that personal philosophy, I kind of just go with the flow, and I don't generally get too upset about stuff, and that's good. And if you can figure out how to channel that kind of energy, it's good for you too. You'll find that less stress in your life makes it harder for you to get sick. Did you know that? Stress will make you sick. So, one way to fight COVID and strengthen your immune system, stop bloody stressing about every bloody thing. So there. Take that deep cleansing breath. Find a way to connect so that you can do your grounding. Meditation. Remember, meditation is not always having your brain as quiet as possible. Sometimes you need noise. There's many ways to meditate. One of mine is to kind of, if there's a fan going of some sort, often I'll set myself to the rhythm of the fan motor. And before I know it, I'm under. And if I don't have a timer as for the meditation, or the self-hypnosis even, I just move into dream state and sleep, which sometimes that's just what you need. But, yeah, figure out what you need to find your happy place and let go of that stress. Dee says, every day is a winding road. Yes, it is, my dear. Oi, it very much is. So, talking about dreams and deja vu, precog dreaming, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. For those of you who have had the precog dreams, cool. For those of you who haven't, okay, cool. And a lot of times, precog dreams, once you realize you're dreaming and it may be a precog type thing, you can kind of take control of it and it becomes more of a lucid dream than a precog dream. Because sometimes when you're dreaming something that's more of a precog type, you're like, stop, wait, I need to get this detail. Can you go back a little bit? And being able to control it so you are able to manage your experience better. So here's some real quick steps here how to lucid dream, because I think that's a real good thing to have also. Because the deja vu is often tied to the precog dreaming, and precog dreaming kind of gets tied into lucid dreaming, because you need to back up and rewind that precog dream. Make sure you get the full message if you can. If you can't, you can't, and you just remember the best you can. You write it down in your journal because you have a dream journal, right? Nod your head, yes. Let's see. Aaron says Benjamin Franklin used to use a single candle flame to flicker on the ceiling to help him reach the deep meditation states. And he credited his best ideas to when he was in those deep states. Do I look surprised? Not at all. It's amazing what our brain can come up with when we get out of its way. Because a lot of times that meditation really, truly is to get it out of our own way. And it's hard because we don't like giving up that kind of control. So, deep cleansing breath. Talking about lucid dream now real quick. So, lucid dreaming can happen spontaneously. And it's possible to start lucid dreaming with intention. So, first off, if you want to make sure you have some sort of positive dream experience before you go to sleep, set your internal dialogue. Nope. I'm going to dream about happy things. I'm going to dream about, dancing kittens. I'm going to dream about, happy babies or whatever it is that makes you happy. And either sometimes you wake up and you're like, woohoo, I accomplished what I needed to. And other times you wake up, you're like, well, let's try that one more time. So, lucid dreaming. Just some really quick techniques on training your consciousness to do the lucid dreaming. Because, yes, you do need to. So first off, reality test. Check, check. Reality, check. Basically, it's a type of, it's a way to increase your metacognition by training your mind to notice your own awareness. So for me, as I'm getting ready to meditate, often I take the deep cleansing breaths and then I start following the air into my lungs mentally. I visualize it with my mind's eye. How am I healthy here? Do I need this or do I need that? Oh, hey, look, I've got a pain in my shoulders. This new, is it the same? Because I have fibromyalgia. Sometimes I have random pain. It shows up. It's like, oh, where did that bruise come from? You'd think I would have noticed that bruise. It's purple. Justin says he uses magic mushrooms to lucid dream. Yes. I believe that's very possible. Yep. So, yeah. Check your space. Because if you are, more aware of self and aware of what you are, what you know, it's like the way clothing feels on you, if that helps you, or the way your socks feel or your shoes feel. What is it that you feel? Are you really awake? Are you not? So a higher metacognition when you're awake could lead to a higher metacognition when you're dreaming. So if your brain's not, in neutral, basically. So are you in neutral or are you in control? And for reality testing, you can ask yourself, am I dreaming? Pinch yourself. Nope, I'm good. I'm real. Or look in your environment to confirm whether or not you're dreaming. Am I dreaming? Or is that possum really purple with wings? What is it? Write it down. But notice your own consciousness and how you're engaging in your surroundings. Often when I'm doing the getting ready for the focused lucid dreaming type stuff, I have a happy place in my brain and I visualize it. And if I really need some help falling asleep, yes, I make sure I have a fan motor or some sort of motor to keep me going, to help me do what I got to do. Otherwise, I'm just like, beat my head against the wall, donk, donk, donk. So, but other places you can use for reality checks as you're doing lucid dreaming. Check your reflection. Is it normal? Did you sprout ears? Or did your hair change colors? Solid object. So push your hand against a wall or table to see if it goes through. Some people can push their fingers into the opposite palm. I've actually done this one. Checking in a dream to see if it's a real thing or a fake thing, and pushing your hands together so they form one big blob and pulling them apart. Yeah, that's a little weird. It's a weird thing. Your brain trips just a bit. Cool, but weird. Time. If you're dreaming, time clock on the wall will constantly change, but if you're awake, the time will barely change. So often when we're dreaming, time is faster. And really, truly, time is just faster in your dreams, generally. So, if the clock is barely moving, often it's real. But if it's just a spinning clock, you're like, wow, I'm going to be out of time. I got to do this and I got to do that. And holy cow, look at the time. I got to hurry up. Basically, you might have an issue that your subconscious is trying to tell you about and you're just not listening. Like maybe you need a nap. Just naps are friends. Naps are very friendly. Let's see. Hands. So look at your hands. Do they look normal? Do you have different fingers? How about jewelry? You got jewelry on that you don't normally wear to bed? Do your hands look normal? Time. So if you're dreaming, the time on the clock will change. If you're awake, it won't. It's very true. Breathing. So this popular reality check involves pinching your nose and seeing if you can still breathe. If you can still breathe, you're dreaming. If you're not, odds are you're just kind of poking your head in there and you're not really real. Let's see. I'm just checking. Yes. Winged purple opossums. I think it's great. So, it's a good idea to do that reality check multiple times a day just to make sure you've got the right thing going on. Touch the wall, do the things to make sure you're grounded and you're good. So, if you go to a REM sleep while you're still, or REM, basically when you're still conscious, that's your twitchy legs and stuff. You can set your time to go to sleep. It's as a little earlier, and then you've got time to wake up about 5 hours later. And then when the alarm goes off, stay up for 30 minutes, enjoy a quiet activity like reading, and then go back to sleep. Often when we commit ourselves to being awake, even though it's in the middle of the night and we can't sleep, you can stay up a long time, trust me on this one. Just accept the inevitable. Go do the thing, that way you're not, draining your own personal resources because you're tired. Period. And I know that happens sometimes. So you can do a mnemonic induction of lucid dreams. This MILD, mild technique. So it's based on a behavior called prospective memory, which involves setting an intention to do something later. So it's a way to make you remember that you're dreaming and also remember that you need to bring something home. So basically, I got to go get a jug of milk on my way home. All right, I'm going to remember that, in theory. And then you can use the mild technique. As you fall asleep, think of a recent dream. Maybe there's a really good dream you had last night. And maybe you don't. But recent dreams are good. And again, if you need a recent dream, look in your dream journal. Relive one of your favorite ones. You need to do that anyways anyway. So identify a dream sign or something that's irregular or strange in the dream. So maybe the example would be an ability to fly. Well, often in my dreams, I have no problem, but I'll start choking. And then I wake up and I'm not choking, but for some reason I've tried to do something, and my brain shuts down and I just can't breathe. So, yeah, just take a deep breath, try to, and realize that, no, you're really asleep, or no, you're really not. Then think about returning to the dream. So acknowledge that the dream sign only happens when you dream. So you need to sometimes have that dream sign, something that's irregular or strange in your dream. Maybe it's a rock, maybe it's a candle, maybe it's a flashlight in candle space, maybe it's a candle in flashlight space. Something that'll stick out to remind you to, that is a dream state. Tell yourself, the next time I dream, I want to remember that I'm dreaming. You're setting your intention. I want to remember my dream. I want to have a dream that I can manage on my own. So it can happen and you can do it. You can also practice the mild technique if you wake up in the middle of the dream. And actually, it's pretty easy to do this way because the dream is fresher in your mind. And so it'll be easier to tune back into it. It's really hard to tune back into it because your body's like, that's great. I'm glad you want to tune back into that dream. But no, we're going to sleep now and you have no choice. So have fun with that. Yeah, it's a good time, right? So just do the best you can. If you can sleep, sleep. If you can't sleep, I get it. But after a couple hours of laying in bed, like, you can't sleep, yuck. Give up, go do dishes, fold some laundry, do something active. And especially if you know that, hey, I need to stay awake because the dryer alarm's going to go off in 20 minutes and wake everybody in the house up. So I just need to pull the laundry out 5 minutes before and it'll be perfect. And then you're like, oh, that's great. And you're like, next thing you know, you're sleeping on the couch and the dryer's been going for 4 hours and that really cute shirt that you just got shrunk and now it fits your mini-me instead of you. It's happened. So dream journals, those are hugely, hugely important. If you're worried or concerned about, are your dreams coming to life? Or are they just a form of deja vu? Is it a true precog or not? If you've got the dream journal and you're writing down the different dreams you're having, it's really important to be able to go back and say, this is what happened instead of that dream. But man, did it start the same, but it ended differently. There's quite a few different dreams out there that you probably had that kind of situation. It's okay. Just pay attention. But yeah, keeping that dream diary, it's so huge. I've talked about dream diaries before. They don't have to be fancy. It could just be a notebook by your bed. Write down what you dreamed. So there is also wake-initiated lucid dreaming. So it's wild. Wild happens when you directly enter a dream from the waking life. It's said that wild helps your mind stay conscious while your body goes to sleep. And you need to relax until you, basically, something in your mind's eye is standing out. You've got a story playing on the video screen in your brain. So then you're there, or maybe you're just about to fall asleep. That combination, you need to learn how to do the dream stuff all by itself, and that's the wild is trying to force you to do that, even if you don't want to, which is interesting. Now, if you did, have a lucid dream, you need to, figure out, how am I going to wake up from a lucid dream? Because that's important, because if you mess up a lucid dream, is it really lucid anymore? Like, the other day I started having a dream that felt really doggone real, like it was really going to happen. And I was driving a really new car. I don't remember if I had bought it or if it was a rental or somebody else's. I don't remember, but for some reason there's a line of grocery carts coming right for the car, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat and I'm getting ready to go, and it's frustrating. It's cloudy out, and I'm waiting for the people in the grocery store because they weren't done and I was, and and I'm watching these lights, and for some reason the grocery carts have lights, and they get closer and they bang into things, and it's like, well, shoot. And I come back to, and I wake up a little bit, and it's like, wait, I wasn't quite done with that dream. So I visually memorize or rethink everything that I just did in my dream and put me back in the dream. And it wasn't, funny thing here, the carts hit my car, but they didn't do any damage because they couldn't go any further, which made no sense. But there's a Swift truck next to me, and that's what protected me. And whether or not the Swift truck really truly protected me, I thought it was just funny because Swift, So, it's possible that in my dream, I was just trying to read or do something. I did. I was trying to find a newspaper, if I remember right, to begin with. And then, well, you know how dreams are. They're weird. But yeah, if you're in dream state, try to read a sign or a book, because it'll activate parts of your brain that are not in REM. Rather than trying to trigger your REM state, your brain is just doing other things. If you know that you're dreaming, try to fall asleep in your dream. Weirdly enough, it'll wake you up in real life. Blink. So, if you're asleep, in your dream, blink repeatedly and you'll wake up. Which, I don't know, do you get double the sleep if you're asleep in a dream? I don't know. Asking for a friend, because I can find myself into a lucid dream, wide awake. Thoughts. And ask for help. Holler. Say, hey, hey, I need some help. Hey. It's kind of crazy. So if you can speak out loud, you might be able to wake yourself up. I know a couple people who talk in their sleep. My kids are two of them. And sometimes they'll say there's just some crazy things in their sleep. And I don't write it down because I don't want to hold it against them and make them upset. But yeah, it is interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So, some of the benefits of lucid dreaming. Well, it's there's some very definite therapeutic effects. I've done this one too. It's like I, in the dream, had gone to the doctor for something and I was supposed to pick something up and I didn't and I was mad. But in real life, I had picked it up. It just wasn't in the right place in the bag because my Minnie, she was bagging stuff for me. And that just happens. So, yeah. So, but lucid dreaming does have some other therapeutic effects. Hold on. So, Aaron says, does tapping on the wall help you lucid dream to put the body to sleep and help keep the brain awake? It can, if you're trying to get that focus in there, the meditative state, if you will, Aaron. But sometimes tapping on the wall drives you nuts instead of helping you, so it can vary. Justin says, have you ever crashed or hit the ground when falling in a dream? Yes. There was a dream, and it's been 20 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. And I'm driving a really nice car, and I crash it, and I run up to the house, and my family lives there, and my son was small enough that he was there, and he could climb through the window. And for some reason, the house caught fire, and it wasn't me, but the car was damaged, and so the insurance company, because the car was damaged, fixed the car. It was just weird. So, yeah, just be careful. Your dreams can go all sorts of crazy places. But lucid dreaming is really a good deal because it'll help you control the dreams. So if you're dealing with some anxiety or depression or PTSD or something like that, often when we dream, we're a little crazy anyways, and some of the stuff is coming up because it needs to be worked on. Well, if you can direct the dream or control the dream, it's really, really good for you because, it helps you work through the situation without actually being in the situation. It's less stressful, if you will. Really, truly. If you have a problem talking to people, and that's your anxiety, but hey, you can talk to 5 people. Well, maybe in your lucid dreaming, you're speaking to 5 people, that are obvious, and there's another 20 hiding in the shadows. That's not necessarily the way it's going to happen, but it's possible. So, poof. Let's see, sleep, lucid dreaming, can help with anxiety, stress, migraines, supposedly, recurring nightmares. That one I know for sure. Recurring nightmares are a big deal, and they're very, very vexing. So, if you need the help, the therapy, and everything, don't be afraid to lucid dream. It'll be good for you anyways. But don't walk away from therapy because sometimes you just need it, and that's fine. That's all there is to it. But sometimes that's fine. So, on that note, the show's done for the night. Can't believe it. We've made it through a whole hour. Or 2 hours, excuse me. Good talks, Ostara, and Deja Vu, and precog dreaming and all that stuff. So, make sure you're writing your dreams down in your journal. I think it's important. And if you are celebrating Ostara, make sure you're writing that down in your everyday journal because that's important too. Because next year, maybe you want to do something different, or maybe you want to show your kids a different way to celebrate. It's just trying to combine all the different bits and pieces and have it all in one spot. It'll make your life easier down the road. I promise. Anyways, thanks for joining tonight. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Pacific time. And I hope you have a fantabulous Ostara and a fantabulous equinox. It's going to be a good time. Have a good night, guys. Where's the button? I always lose the button.